It is only with memory that the continuation of heritage is possible. Mosul's old town suffered from mass destruction during the 2014 to 2017 ISIS insurgency, causing its most valuable heritage sites to become wiped. However, it is with the determination of the locals for a life that the city is being reconstructed. This determination compelled the locals, including shop owners, artisans, and intellectuals, to return, in search of not only peace, but reconciliation and restoration of heritage through the recreation of practices. The fortitude for peace governed the post-war life in Mosul, as its contested physical history became safeguarded by the continuation of the immaterial practices. However, the question remains: how do you interpret such a rich history that includes multiple layers of culture, practices, and war and peace? Heritage interpretation in this case must focus on preserving, documenting, and narrating this shared memory, heritage practices, and interactions through facilitating workshops and interviews, and triggering spatial memories through cognitive maps. I have spoken to the locals to understand their memories and document their everyday practices, rich culture, and heritage. The same heritage that listed the Old Town on the UNESCO's tentative list for World Heritage Centers. And with the physical heritage of the Old Town under threat, this type of cultural heritage interpretation focuses on the narration and memory just as much as the restoration of physical entities. This will aid in safeguarding the Old Town's authenticity and spirit. The narrow alleyways of the Old Town, locally called Al-Jat, tell the story of the reconciliation and resolve for peace, as one can hear the sounds of families in reconstructed houses in the middle of a massively destructed neighborhood. Through walking and documenting these alleyways, it became clear that the sense of community is established by their self-enclosed nature. This sense of community created what the locals called an emotional connection that cannot be changed with time and war.
الناس تعتز بهذا الشيء،
صح.
تعتز بالتراث مال القديمة، يفتح النفس،
نعم.
تفتح النفس وتود الغوح هاي المكان.
وهل هذا هو السبب اللي خلاك انه ترجع هنا ما تروح للايسر؟
هذا السبب الرئيسي اللي أنا خلاني أرجع هوني.
The informal local initiative for heritage interpretation through preservation of memory and reliving cultural practices ignited hope for the locals of the Old Town. As many people began to return and reconcile through the engagement with the city spaces, as per their memories and pre-war interactions, creating spontaneous reconstruction efforts that follow the needs of the locals, resulting in a gradual return of historical practices, spaces, and interactions. This is the reason heritage interpretation is significant at this point of the Old Town's time frame, as documenting and contrasting with historic evidence helps ensure the authenticity of the reinitiated cultural crafts, and spreads awareness on the danger of changing the location and type of crafts. On the physical front, the locals are eagerly waiting for the Al-Hadba minaret's reconstruction by the UNESCO, which is a significant device of memory, identity, and identification. The minaret is a proof that architecture and heritage sites function as essential mediators of memory. Hence, studying cultural heritage, memory, and interactions is vital to understand the meaning and significance of physical spaces. Mosul's old town has a long way to recover, but through the return of the creators of its heritage, memory, and practices, it is safe to say that they are on the right path. This exploration of the significance of the cultural heritage was shared with the locals, acting as a forum to discuss and reconcile the shared memory and steps in advancement in the post-war settings. The documentation of these practices as a means to achieve heritage interpretation is just as significant as physical interpretation through physical reconstruction, as it aids the rebuilding of the people who can then rebuild their historic landmarks. So here's to the people of Mosul, finding life below the rubble.